tell you guys, I don't know if any of you have ever had this moment, but did you ever think back to something that happened that didn't seem necessarily significant at the time, but later on you realize like this was a huge turning point for me? I wanted to talk about a moment I had like that I don't even think I realized was a huge turning point until like a couple weeks ago, when I was just reflecting on the year 2016 and all that I accomplished last year. So I want to talk a little about this story that I have. So after our honeymoon, we went to Las Vegas for our honeymoon. We were in the airport leaving Las Vegas in the end of April. And so I'm like, we're sitting there, and I didn't bring any books to read on our honeymoon. I love reading. But we're sitting in the airport and our flight was a little delayed. And so I said to Easy, I was like, I'm gonna go get a coffee. I'll be right back. So, I'm walking in the airport and I pass this little bookstore, and I was just like, let me grab like a magazine or something to read on the airplane because this flight's gonna be like 4 hours and I'm gonna be bored. So I go into this I go into the bookstore, and I was in there for a magazine, but a book caught my eye that I had heard of and never read. And it was Girl Boss by Sophia Amoruso. I hope I'm saying that right. And I had seen this book a couple places, and I never read it. And actually, I'm kind of against buying things in airports or buying books in general that I can't, get at a library or something. But anyway, so it was like overpriced. I don't even know what I spent on it, but I was like, I'm gonna be bored on this flight. Let me just buy this book and read it. So I get my coffee, I go back, and we get on the plane and everything, and I start this book. I read this cover to cover in the 4-hour flight, and not until a little bit ago did I realize that this book was so impactful on my life. I actually, when we got home from our honeymoon, I did post on Instagram that I had read this, and I remember like on the plane, like in 4 hours, I was like all of a sudden totally inspired by this book. So I knew at the time that it was really like significant, me reading this book, but I didn't realize how much of an impact it made on me until I was reflecting a couple weeks ago. So anyway, if you have not read this book, even if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you don't own your own business, I think this book is hugely beneficial. I like this because, one, Sophia is hilarious. She reminds me a lot of myself though, in that she didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. I did not set out to do that. I loved entrepreneurship as a kid. I like always, was playing store or like creating my own spa business, but I never thought to myself, someday I'm gonna grow up and own a business. So anyway, I really like that about her. I relate a lot. I love the way she talks, because in a lot of self-help books, they're kind of, I don't wanna say preachy because they're not, but I'm very, I don't know. I like girls women who like kind of just like say what's on their mind and don't really filter themselves, and which can be good or bad. And I'm kind of like that. Like sometimes I'm like, I probably shouldn't say shit on my YouTube videos, but I do. So anyway, I really like that she sort of just speaks her mind, and she's super inspiring because she started an eBay business, which I never talked about, but in college, I went through a period where like eBay was my thing. I was awesome. I guess that was kind of like one of the beginnings of me being an entrepreneur, is I was like buying and selling things out of my dorm room on eBay. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But so she started this eBay business, and it's now turned into Nasty Gal, which is a huge empire. So obviously like my business is not related on fashion, but I think that book is so relatable. So I remember on the plane, I read it cover to cover in 4 hours. I got off the plane and I was like so inspired. And I realized, like some of the stuff she said, I really took to heart. And I just was like, how can I continue to drive myself, continue to make myself successful, continue to grow Nina Fitness Training. Now, I haven't read that book since, although I want to read it again. But looking back at the end of 2016, I was reflecting, because I do that every year on, what I accomplished the previous year. And I just realized that, you know, starting in May, Nina Fitness Training really took off. Like, I just felt like I had this renewed energy towards it. I really I always had a passion for it, but I had this new passion. I had new ideas. I really, you know, Easy and I started a YouTube. We really wanted to grow it in some different ways, connect with people on some different levels. So anyway, looking back, I realized that kind of the start of this was me reading this book. So I wanted to share that if any of you are looking for a good read. I also follow her on Instagram and the Girl Boss Instagram. I love her quotes. I think I've reposted some of them. She's just hilarious, and she's probably one of my women idols. And anyway, had to share that. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is just goal setting and how important I think it can be. I am someone who wakes up every morning and makes a to-do list. It doesn't matter if I have like nothing to do that day or 3 million things to do that day. I just feel better and more structured when I make a to-do list. And I don't know if I don't know what exactly that says about my personality. I guess that like Easy will always say I need a plan, like I need to know exactly what's happening when. But anyway, so I always buy a planner. This is my planner for this year. It's big, if you can tell, because I have a lot to write. So I buy a planner each year, and every day I will like wake up and put my to-do list on paper. I just wanted to show you guys, like, hold on. If I can flip it. All right, here's like a glimpse, you can just see, of last week. This side is like, I usually write my workouts on that side, and I don't write like the whole workout. I just write like, okay, it's back day, and then cross that off. But anyway, so making a to-do list I think is super helpful and keeps your day on track if you follow that. It's also extremely satisfying to cross things off during the day. And my to-do lists are specific. I don't write like I will write like, do the laundry, fold the laundry. Because there's days when, let's be honest, I do the laundry and then I'm like, I'll fold that tomorrow. And then it sits there for 3 days. So I think like just writing down the basics of your day, even if it seems stupid, like walk the dog, you know, put it on there though. Like it's something that you need to do today. You're gonna feel better crossing it off like, oh yeah, I did that. And that really helps you plan the day and keep you on track. I do it every single morning. It can be, you know, grocery shop. I will write down every client plan that I have to do. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be in order. I'm not that specific that it has to be like, you know, I gotta do this first and then this. It just is something that I need to feel like at the end of my day, I can look at that and be like, I accomplished a lot today and I'm gonna start fresh tomorrow. So that's just one of the things I wanted to share. Aside from daily goals, I think yearly goals, like big picture goals, but not too big picture, are really beneficial. At the beginning of every year, I make a list of probably about 5 goals that are attainable, but are a little bit out of reach just to keep me on track. I don't make anything, don't set goals for yourself that are impossible to reach. Like don't be like, you know, I need to make $10,000 by the end of February and it's, you know, January 23rd. No, that's insane. But you could do something like, you know, I want to save $1,000 in the next 12 months. Trying to make this not exactly fitness related, but you can apply it to anything in your life. I am big on goals. I don't create millions of goals though, because I want certain focuses. So usually I'll do a financial goal, I'll do a fitness goal, I'll do a personal life goal. Like for example, one of my goals this year was to try to, it's not exactly quantifiable, but was to try to be more positive of a person, because naturally by nature I am negative. I just, you know, if the glass is half empty or half full, it's always half empty to me. So one of my goals is to really stop and try to be a more positive person. And at the end of the year, I will just kind of, you know, go through what my goal list was and be like, you know, yes, I did this. Last year, I accomplished all my goals. And that was, I think, the first year in a long time that happened. And like I said, 2016 was a great year. So anyway, I just want to talk a little about goal setting, what helps me, share this book with you guys. If you read it, let me know. Like I said, I think it can apply to your life no matter if you're a businesswoman on your own, or if you work for a company or whatever, and even to your personal life. Like, she makes some really, really good points, and one of my favorite quotes from her is that money looks better in the bank than it does on your feet, which is something to remember when I feel like I need 400 pairs of shoes. So anyway, hope you guys found some helpful insight with this.